Hey guys, you'll have to forgive me. This is getting shot at like 6:30 in the morning, but I figured a good video to do would be setting up some of the hatchlings here. So I've got some bins that I prepared last night. I cleaned them out really good, regardless of if they were already clean. Just to be on the safe side, I hit them again always. And then, I'll set them up with just some paper towels in there. And I'm gonna be careful because I got vent holes low, which is good for short tails, but bad for keeping in water when you're tipping it over. But I just put paper towels in there. You can put 2, 3, 4, whatever you want to do. And I have some water in here. And what I do is I actually take these bins and I put them in the incubator so that this temperature is the same temperature that they're out of. It's a little cooler because I keep it down on the bottom shelf as opposed to where they are. But it's a good transition because they're coming out of the incubator. That's about 86.5, 87 degrees. And they're going into the snake room in a rack that's, 79, 80 ambient with like an 82, 83 hot spot. Fucking cat starts already. So it is a nice transition. And then also I always keep my water jug in my snake room so it stays at a closer temperature than, just room temperature would be in here. We're just gonna add a little bit more moisture for what I dumped out, turning it sideways. But what you want essentially is about like a 1/4 inch of water in there, enough so that they're gonna stay sitting on water, but not so much where they can't relax and put their head down or be submerged basically. And then I do give them a water dish, from the beginning. Because they're on water, you don't have to give them a water dish right away. You could just let them drink off of the surface, which they're likely gonna do anyhow. But I just like to introduce it from the beginning. One, it eats up some space, so it helps them be more comfortable in the tub. And two, it just gets them used to that resource being there. Short tails have a tendency, especially if they're nervous, they won't go to the water source. They will just stay where they feel comfortable. So that's why, especially with the babies, it's good to keep them wet. Also, of course, because hard belly, things like that you're looking to prevent and such while they're absorbing their yolk, you want them to stay wet. But like I said, it also helps for hydration because if they're just sitting in water, all they have to do is just lean down and drink. They don't have to seek anything out. So that helps and definitely prevents that dehydration, which can happen fairly commonly with these guys. So we're gonna pull the first baby out here. So this one probably came out pretty early. It's probably been out for a while. One of those things last night when I went to bed, I knew that this SOB was gonna be out as soon as I went to bed, but I had to go to bed. So I'm gonna turn the camera down here so you can kind of see what we're doing. So you can see the baby sitting there. Now, one thing you definitely want to do is get rid of these eggs. And I had a garbage bag, and what the hell did I do with it? What happens when I plan ahead? Still make mistakes. Bear with me a second. Let me just grab another one. I have no idea what I did with it. I literally grabbed it for this. I probably put it down somewhere, grabbing something else. But the reason you want to take these eggs out of here, the old ones, is because when these babies pip and hatch, sometimes they'll go into another egg. It's not harmful necessarily that they do, but why not get that out of there, especially if that starts to go septic or anything happens just from it sitting there. May as well get it out of the situation. Now, I use this little hook a lot of times, especially if they're in a situation like this. Like I may, give them a little touch first and just kind of gauge the reaction that they're gonna have, and you can see right away the baby's ready to be reactive. So now, do I care about getting bit by this baby? No. The reason why I'll use the hook is because if the baby does get upset, it's gonna associate that with the hook as opposed to with me. And even though, you have plenty of time to build relationships with these animals, they're smart animals, so the less that you push them, the better. They're gonna remember every little moment from the moment they hatch. They're gonna remember every interaction you have with them. And so it seems to get them acclimated a lot faster when I'm never ever the negative presence. It's always something else. So for the first few weeks, when I clean them, I'll often move them with the hook, unless they obviously come up to me and show curiosity as opposed to defensiveness. Then I don't mind doing a little handling to move them from tub to tub, but I don't try to handle them recreationally at all for at least the first month usually. Like I said, unless there's a clear situation where that baby is clearly okay with it and is initiating it. So I'll just go in there, tickle him a little bit, and oops, he's gonna move on his own a little here. And then, like I said, you can see, gauge his reaction. He's not being overly defensive, but I just don't want him to get to a position where he strikes, because that means I've pushed the baby too far. So a little gentle handling here, and you can see he's very nervous, doesn't really know what to do, but it's a nice side swipe baby. And you can see how quickly, even though, the vermiculate's moist, that the baby's already started to dry out. See, that's what they do. They thrash when they get nervous. And he's probably gonna thrash a little bit more here. So what I usually do is I'll use my hand instead of pouring water directly on them, pour a little bit of water in my hand, and you can still see it's gonna be reactive. It's just kind of the nature of what they are at this stage. So I'm just very gentle, and we'll just manipulate him back where we want him to go. They don't always cooperate, so don't expect that to happen, especially at this stage. You could probably see a little bit from certain angles where the yolk is in there. This baby's not super inflated, but he did absorb yolk as you want them to. Back here a little bit. Like I said, definitely a nice side swipe, nice genetic stripe as well. This actually has a perfect stripe on it. It's not broken up anywhere. So that's really cool. Now, typically when they're on the move on their own like that, if you just put your hand underneath and move them, you're typically not going to get bit. It's when you grab and manipulate, in his mind, even when I'm doing that, he still thinks he's going where he wants to go. So as long as you don't do it super abrasively or rapidly, usually you're fine. So that's why I am okay with using my hand there instead of using the hook to guide him quickly. Let me see if I can move this a little bit. So like I said, it's all about gentle manipulation. And it's still gonna get high strung like that and whatever, because everything literally that's happening to this baby right now is brand new to it. You have to remember, it knows nothing with the inside of an egg. So every single situation, every single thing that's stimulating it is brand new. Let's see if I can't get him to hold up for just a second. So you can see some of that side pattern. And I'll get better pictures and videos. You guys that follow me on Instagram or Facebook will see more of this stuff. Sometimes the flat hand works. Don't recommend that with super reactive snakes because they will still slap you right in the hand. But this baby's not overly defensive. It also, the first day or two, they typically are a little bit calmer, and then they'll change. But let's go for some more here. The nice thing about these containers, especially with the water dish, hold on, first we gotta get them back in here, is that you can stack these ones and it doesn't hit the baby or affect the baby at all. Obviously be careful no matter what, but it is nice that you're able to do that. And if you really want to stack it really safely, you can put the dish in the middle, and then that really keeps it the best, nice and even. But I'm not really going anywhere with these guys or anything at this point, so I'm not too worried about it. Switch containers here, because this container, the position that it's in my incubator doesn't heat perfectly evenly. It's a little bit warmer in this one corner, so these eggs routinely hatch first. So you can see in here, several babies have hatched, and hopefully they don't all run amok when we go to take one out. This clutch has a lot of cool ultra influence so far, which I really like seeing. You know, that's part of the goal with this particular project with the Sideswipe stuff, is I'm getting Ultra in there and seeing how those things interact. Once again, we're going to take the old eggs out of here. And in this case, you're going to try your best not to disturb the babies that are in the eggs still. So you want to just kind of move slowly. Don't move towards them if you can avoid it. You know, just leave them be. And then I'm going to try my best getting these other snakes out of here to not have them bug the other babies there. But you can get a good look at that little pile. I believe there's 3 of them over there. And we'll get the next one out here. Let's see who's going to be the easiest to grab. Probably this one. Once again, same thing, just gentle manipulation. I let it crawl into my hands. This one's really interesting because it has a lot of the Sideswipe traits, but not quite the clean sides that you've seen on Orion or on Callisto, or even Astra to some degree. And I think that's because there's a lot more Ultra floating around in this one, and Ultra manipulates pattern quite a bit. And so I think that the Ultra and the Sideswipe together are making these funkier patterns, but the striping on these babies overall has been fantastic. All 3 so far that have been out have really great striping, as you can see. Let's try and do a little bit on this guy here just to get some of that vermiculite off. This guy isn't as dry. And I call them all male. Oops. Mostly because if you call them female, you jinx yourself and get males always. So I just try to jinx myself to go the other direction. You can see this baby's flattened out, which means that he is nervous and in a defensive position. So if I were to pick this baby up right now, at the very least, he's going to thrash and likely bite. And we don't want to push the baby to that level. So we're going to just move on to the next one and let it be. It's just one of those things where, you know, they don't know anything, and in nature, things would be trying to eat them. Nothing's trying to be nice to them. So their instinct is to defend themselves. Let's go for one of the next ones here. There's a real interesting baby. There you go. Maybe it'll go right on its own. No. It's a nice imaginative thought. There we go. Yeah. Little manipulation, but you can see really cool pattern on this one. I don't see as much of the Sideswipe in this one. Oh, where are you going? You have somewhere to be? I don't see as much of the Sideswipe. I see a lot more of the Ultra pattern influence, not necessarily color. But very, very cool looking baby. Nice striping once again. I love the thick tail stripe there. That's one of my favorite things in short tails. So I'm always happy when I get that. But definitely a cool looking little baby there. That one's in pretty good shape, really not much vermiculite on him, so we're just gonna let that one roll as is. Sometimes I'll even rinse them off like right in the sink and stuff, but trying to be minimally invasive here. So unless I really need to do that, I don't. These guys came out pretty clean for the most part. And you guys can pick on the hot pink dish, I don't care. I found a bunch of them cheap and they work great for hatchlings, so I don't care what they look like. This baby's really cool, really got some Ultra going on here. You know, you can see, hopefully you can see the color. It's got a lot of Sideswipe qualities in this one as well. This is my first time doing this much Ultra into Sideswipe, so it's my first time seeing how these genes interact. I'll probably be holding back some babies and figuring out, you know, what's gonna do what in the future, which is always the goal. You're always trying to build and keep perfecting. So I like this baby, but it does have the broken stripe. So I would love to get a baby like this with a solid stripe, and maybe a little bit cleaner on the swipe. And I know with Ultra, you can get pretty clean Ultras, and I have some. So eventually I will try to work that in there. This one's got a lot of vermiculite on it, which is not a big deal. The vermiculite's not gonna bother it, especially sitting on the water. Eventually it'll crawl around in here and work it out. So that's all that's hatched for now. We have 2 more that have pipped, and then we have 8 more eggs left to pip still. And so this is another reason why I talked about in cutting eggs, you don't know when they're ready. So I had that baby that's been out for a couple of days now, and I still have eggs that haven't pipped yet. So if I just cut these all at the same time, it's obvious that they weren't all ready. And so you're gonna be taking those babies out before it's their time. And that's not something that I wanna do. I want them to come out when they're ready. So at this point, we're, what did I say? We have 8 left. There's 15 in the clutch. So less than half the clutch is pipped so far. And we're on day 67, 58, 59, 60, 61. Today is day 62. So the first baby pipped day 59. He was out day 60. And now we're on day 62. And I would imagine by the time I come home tonight, the bulk of these are going to be pipped. But, you know, you never know. It's when they're ready, and I haven't candled them to see. You can usually see the veins pulling away and things like that to let you know they're about ready. So I'm going to take these guys outside really quick, get a quick picture or 2 of each, and then put them in the rack and leave them alone for a few days and let them settle in. So we will see you guys. Thank you as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video with Jason. There's a video that he'll be posting at some point. I think he said in a couple of weeks, because he's got videos set to upload in advance. So you guys will see that video on his channel if you go and check him out. And then, you know, we'll get to meet the collection up this week. And I don't know who that's going to be yet, but we'll meet somebody. We'll see you guys. Thank you. I got to get ready for work.